Was she happy? I couldn't tell. Debate viewers in the latest CNN ORC poll giving Clinton the win, though it's important to note that sample was more Democratic than the average CNN poll. Donald Trump sees things differently.
Last night was very exciting, and almost every single poll had us winning the debate against crooked Hillary Clinton. Big league, big league.
There is so much to discuss. So let's get right now to CNN's Gloria Borger, Mark Preston, and Dana Bash. Good evening. You guys had a long night.
Yeah.
And an early morning and a long day today. So Donald Trump, hello to all of you. Gloria, Trump spoke about the debate just a short time ago. This is in Florida. He came out swinging. Let's listen and we'll discuss.
For 90 minutes, I watched her very carefully. And I was also holding back. I didn't want to do anything to embarrass her. But I watched her and she was stuck in the past. For 90 minutes, on issue after issue, Hillary Clinton defended the terrible status quo, while I laid out our plan, all of us together, to bring jobs, security, and prosperity back to the American people.
So, Gloria, he says he didn't want to embarrass Hillary Clinton, but the overwhelming consensus is that Hillary Clinton won that debate. Do you think?
No. I do not. Our poll taken afterwards, which we understand was weighted towards Democrats to a certain degree, had him, and it was a real poll, had Hillary Clinton winning by about a 2-to-1 margin. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we deconstruct this debate, what we see is that he did well in the first 20 to 30 minutes, where he talked about issues in which he's on firm ground, which is Hillary Clinton's reversal on trade, for example, saying, what have you done for the last 30 years? But then as the debate moved on and he had opportunities to go after her, she kept swinging for the fences there on issues like taxes, for example, and transparency, which he didn't fight back on the birther issue, on women, and so I think she did very well for herself last night.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll just say very quickly, if you look at the preparation for each, and it's really easy for us to say she was more prepared than he was, clearly that was, but just stop and think about it. If you watched that debate last night, he went in and he was all over the place. She was very tempered and she paced it all out. At certain points, she dropped another nugget in. Towards the end, of course, was it was his attack on the beauty queen. But it was all paced out strategically. Mm-hmm. That is somebody who went in ready for bear.
Let's talk about preparation and performance, right? Because you've been reporting on this a lot. He has been sort of making fun of her, saying she's off the campaign trail. She's preparing, and he has not. Do you think this is going to change the next time?
I can tell you that his allies certainly hope it will change next time, big time, because it's not so much that he didn't prepare. He did prepare in his own way. He prepared more than he's ever prepared before, according to sources I've talked to.
Not in a traditional sense, right?
Certainly not in a traditional sense. Didn't do the mock debate, didn't have a stand-in, didn't have somebody asking a question as if he was Lester Holt. Didn't do any of that, which Hillary Clinton did. And, it's almost sort of, as I've been thinking about it and I've been processing it over the past 24 hours, it's almost like he went in to do kind of improv and she went in to perform like Hamilton or something that was written in a very intricate way. And for him, that works. He can do improv when he's in front of 25,000 people and he's feeding off the crowd. But not in this situation. It's completely different. And he doesn't have...
surprise?
That he didn't... My biggest surprise is that he didn't have the foresight to understand that the people telling him he needed to study the lines that they were giving him, to get ready for the pivots, as they call them, meaning when she comes at him with all of the bait that she threw at him, to not take it, that he didn't use it. And it's, I've talked to some people who like him and are his advisors, who say that it's just not who he is. He couldn't do it, but they hope that now that he's gotten past this first experience, he knows how it actually feels, that he's going to be different.
What surprised me was that he took the bait so easily. Yeah. Right. It was the proverbial sort of sleeping bear, right? And you just poke him, and your father loaned you $14 million. You didn't get started on your own, and you poke him on birther, or you poke him on real estate, and I think that he took the bait, and rather than pivoting, as Dana says, he just kind of went down these rabbit holes that were quite unproductive, even on women.
This reminds me, and we'll get to that because Alicia Machado was just on. Alicia Machado. I want to talk about the sort of disconnect that we're seeing here, right? Because if when you talk to, this reminds me of the 2012 debate between Mitt Romney and President Barack Obama, where the Obama people knew right away that he didn't do well.
Right.
Do you think that the Trump people know their heart of hearts that he didn't do well?
Who are the Trump people, though?
And that,
who are you talking about? Those who are trying to get him elected, or those who support him?
we'll make the distinction.
That's a
those
great
who
point.
support him think that he can walk on. The metaphor is, he's the second coming of Jesus Christ, right? I mean, that's what they think. Those who, although they would never say this publicly and they'll say it's not true, those who are trying to get him elected were tearing out their hair and saying, why is he not following the script? Why is he falling into a trap? She should be the one following into his trap. And you know what he did is that you saw that at the beginning he started okay. He started okay, but he said he started really good. He started okay. It was fine.
Great.
But he started
very well.
Right,
Wow.
but he started spiraling out of control. And you know what that is? That's when you get in your own head and you realize that you did not prepare, and what are you going to do? And you just start throwing.
I watched it twice. I watched it with the sound up. I watched, but yes, and
God, don't you have a life?
I did. I know. I was up. I had to write an editorial, so I was up. And then I watched it with the sound down, and I have my own assessment about who won or who. If you watch it with the sound down,
What is it?
if you watch it with the sound down, Hillary Clinton won.
Yeah.
You just look at facial
because she's
expressions.
smiling.
Yes.
And
She's smiling. If you watch it with the sound up as a person who, is not, listen, I'm not for either of them, but a person, if you're not sort of an insider, if you're not a Politico, you may say, well, Donald Trump scored some real people points. But on policy, there was a clear winner. She was very prepared.
But
people will say that she was rehearsed. I talked to some people, she was rehearsed. But in rehearsed, do they mean that she was prepared?
Did she make an emotional connection?
Right.
Is the question, and that remains unanswered because she didn't make an emotional connection to young people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of that has been spoken about today. They didn't talk about income inequality.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about helping the middle class. So what kind of connection? She scored points and did really well in this debate. How dispositive it will be is really an open question. Maybe
and the
not
sound
at all.
down thing is really, really interesting because debate experts, television debate experts, presidential TV debate experts will tell you that is the key thing to do.
Right.
It was no accident that she was smiling and trying to look natural and comfortable because you want to have that visual that will connect with people in a way that you look the part despite or in spite of what you're saying, what's coming out of your mouth.
As far as preparation, here's what the president said. He said, he tweeted this, I couldn't be more proud of Hillary Clinton. He spoke about her earlier on the radio, saying basically the same thing. Her vision and command during last night's debate showed that she was ready to be our next POTUS. So that's to be expected, and I don't know if he would have said anything differently had she had a not so good performance, but clearly he was behind her and was happy to make these. Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's a fan.
So what's next then out of this debate for Donald Trump? Does he have the discipline to go in and rehearse the traditional way and look at the tape with the sound up and the sound down and make any?
I don't.
Honestly, no.
Yeah,
I don't think so, right? Is that?
Look, he's 70 years old. He's always been at the top of the heap. It's very hard to get him to say, you've got to strategize this way or that way. He's been doing it one way his whole life. And I think when he's attacked, he fights back. And that's what we saw today in all his appearances. It was like the old Donald Trump from the primaries, right?
He was uncorked today.
And he was doing what he did.
I'm being told there's some breaking news. I don't have my phone with me, so I can't read the email, so I have to just read it off the prompter. They're saying Warner endorsement. Mark, do you have some breaking news?
So Senator John Warner, who retired from the Senate a few years back, a Republican from Virginia, is going to endorse Hillary Clinton tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in Alexandria. Why this is important is that John Warner served served as the Navy Secretary for 2 years. He also served 30 years in the Senate, was at the top of the perch of the Senate Armed Services Committee. He is very well beloved within the military community. He's very well liked by the generals. They trust him. He protected them on Capitol Hill. And Virginia is a state that Hillary Clinton was supposed to have in her pocket. However, it was slipping a little bit because, Tim Kaine was on it. John Warner, in some ways, gives him some help. This is followed now by the Arizona Republic, which has never endorsed a Democrat over a Republican. The Arizona Republican, a very conservative state of Arizona, is endorsing Hillary Clinton. Let me just read you things just very, very quickly. Clinton has the temperament and experience to be president. Donald Trump does not. Her flaws pale in comparison, which isn't the greatest thing, but I mean, it's still there. And whose hand do you want on the nuclear button? This is an editorial that they've written. Whose hand do you want on the nuclear button? So Donald Trump comes off that debate last night. A lot of questions still about
Does this make a difference, the Warner endorsement and the Arizona newspaper endorsement? Does that make a difference to the people who are actually going to go out and vote? Does it make a difference in the battleground state?
I'm not sure about the newspaper, frankly, but some